What's the most embarrassing thing you've ever done? Because when I was a kid, I did some stupid things, and I also did some stupid things that were also really embarrassing. So, one of the, I guess, most embarrassing things that I did was, I don't know if this one was fault. You'd have to let me know in the comments. But basically, I was at a pool party, right? And, this was probably sometime in middle school, so you know how those things are. But anyway, I need to go like change into my swimsuit and stuff. So, I like go looking for a bathroom in this guy's house. And I eventually find one, and for some reason, I don't know what crossed my brain for me to do this, but I just didn't knock, I didn't see that the lights weren't on. So I just assumed, that nobody was in there and that it was empty, so I was like, okay, fair game. Um, and so I didn't knock, and I just opened the door, and then you probably expect, you could probably find out where this one's going. Um, yeah, there was someone in there, and it was a girl. It was some girl in my class, and I don't think I saw anything, but let's just say, she wasn't properly clothed or whatever. So, that one was pretty bad, but it was, the awkward conversation that follows that. Like, oh my gosh, I'm sorry, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. But, bro, I couldn't look at that girl for like weeks after that because I was just so embarrassed. Like, I don't really know if that's my fault. I mean, it is. Let's just be fair. Like, I got it knocked, But, yeah, that one was bad. And, like, it was a moment of panic, I opened the door. I just, like, make eye contact with her, and I just, like, she starts to say something. I just, like, shut the door before she even finished. But, yeah, that one was pretty embarrassing. Um, Another one, this one was more on me. This one was more of my valid stupidity. But I was being picked up from school. This one was, like, way back. This is, like, first, second grade. So, there might be a little more grace there, just because I'm so young. But basically, my parents picking me up from school, right? We all wait outside, and we drove this minivan. And, it was like a dark gray minivan. It was fine, because it wasn't the flashiest thing in the world, but it got the job done for sure. And so, I was used to it. The procedure would be that, you would go find your car in the line and have like a teacher or somebody walk you out to it. And, you get in the car and go home. And that was sort of the standard procedure. And so I was like, all right, another day, another pickup from school, whatever. And so I make my way to this minivan, which at the time I thought it was fine. But turns out that, you know, it wasn't. Let's just be honest here. It wasn't my parents' minivan. And so, I guess I wasn't paying attention or something. But I basically just like, I don't even look who's the driver is. I open the door, I'm like, hey, how was my day? And all that stuff. How was your day? And it takes me a good like 30 seconds. I'm just sitting in the guy's car. This isn't my parent. This isn't my dad. And I was just sitting in his car. It takes me like a good 30 seconds to realize that wasn't my dad in the front seat. It was just some random old dude. And so, I mean, that one is not the brightest moment for me, but I feel like that was just kind of funny. But yeah, I definitely from that point on, I made sure to, double check the license plate or whatever to make sure that, I'm getting into the right car. So that one was pretty bad. And then, yeah, this last one I'm gonna share. Um, last part I can remember from my childhood where I was just like so stupid. It just wasn't there. It was like, you know how when you're younger and your parents would leave you at home alone, and at this time, like Life 360 wasn't a thing. Like I didn't even have a phone at this time. So when your mom left and she said, I'll be back at like 10:30 or something, you were like all good, right? And then it gets to 10:30 and she's not back, and you just like immediately go to worst case scenarios. Um, that's kind of where I'm going with this one, because that's what happened. I was just home alone one day. I was just chilling at home, and then let's just say it was 10:30. I don't remember when it was, but 10:30 she said to get back, right? And my dad at this time, he was at home too, and so I was like, I wasn't worried at all. Like I was chilling. But then I take a shower, good skin, later at night. That's all I remember. Um, anyway, yeah, I was getting later at night, so I took a shower, and you know, hold on, let me do this real quick. Here we go. Can I hit him? Nope. Anyway, I take a shower, right? And he's not back. Or sorry, my mom's not back. And so I'm stressing, but I'm like, oh, my dad's home. And then I go like get out of the shower, and I look for my dad, and he's nowhere to be found. And then I wait a couple minutes, and like eventually gets to like 11 o'clock. I'm just home alone. So I'm just thinking, I'm stressing, And I was really young when this was. I don't know how old, but I start breaking down because like I think just my parents died or something in a horrific car wreck, or my dad got abducted by aliens or something crazy. You know how kids are. And so like my mind goes all over the places, and I start crying and losing my mind. And eventually, you know, I go like make my way outside the house or whatever. I'm like, I'm gonna do some investigation. Let's see if I can locate the missing parents. It's a crime scene. Like I got a detective find my way, find the person that's missing, find the killer, all that stuff. So yeah, I make my way out. I find out that my dad was just at my neighbor's house. He was just outside. And my mom had just got into some traffic and she started running late. And so, I was stressing all over the place for no reason at all. And it's kind of crazy looking back on it because, it's kind of, in hindsight, it's like, how could I be so stupid? But, when we were a kid, like, that stuff was, like, real. And you, like, didn't know how, I guess, the world works, really. And so you would, like, automatically, at least I did, automatically assume the worst case scenario. And, looking back on it now, I can laugh at it and say, I was so dumb. But, during the time, I was stressing, man. Like, I don't know how to put it. I was just cooked, I thought the world was ending. And I feel like I'm not alone on that. So, let me know in the comments if you had something similar. Um, yeah, those are the short stories I have from my childhood when I was a stupid kid. But, I got a lot more stories, different topics. So, stay tuned for the next one. Hope you enjoyed it. For those that subscribed from the last one, I appreciate it. You're sticking with me through the long run. And let me know your comment or your feedback on the content. And yeah, I'll see y'all later. And I guess I should explain sort of what I'm doing here before I close this. So, like, during this series, I'm just gonna be telling, stories from my life that, are funny, stupid, embarrassing, whatever. Um, just to entertain y'all. And then I'm also gonna be simultaneously playing this world. And, it's kind of be interesting to see like how far we get, because the rule I'm making up is that like I can only play this world if I'm talking to y'all and I'm telling the stories. So I mean, yeah, stay tuned for the next one. I got plenty more stories to share. They only get worse or better, however you want to call it. But yeah, peace out.